Do you want to find a stress-free way to buy your next car? Start at CarMax and shop your way. If you want to browse with confidence, get pre-qualified online with no impact on your credit score and shop cars within your budget, from luxury cars to family rides. CarMax has options for almost every price range, including more than 25,000 cars priced under $25,000. So hey, want to get started? Just head to CarMax.com for details and get pre-qualified today. Want to drive? CarMax.
Hey listeners, this is Peter and welcome back to the History Shorts. Today's episode is brought to you by the Podcast Republic, your ultimate listening app. Discover and subscribe to thousands of podcasts from around the world. Download Podcast Republic today, available on Google Play and the Apple App Store. Today on History Shorts. It was October of 1998 in the Kasai province of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Two semi-professional soccer teams, the Bena Tshadi and the visitors Basanga, were 90 minutes into their soccer match. The score was tied 1-1. Then the sky cracked open. A single bolt of lightning struck the pitch. When it was over, all 11 players of the Bena Tshadi side were dead. Every member of the Basanga team was completely unharmed. What happened at the village pitch in October of 1998 is one of the strangest, most tragic, and most genuinely unexplained events in the history of the sport. Our history brief today returns to some recent history news. A quick word from our sponsors.
It never happens at a good time. The pipe bursts at midnight. The heater quits on the coldest night. Suddenly, you're overwhelmed. That's when HomeServe is here. For $4.99 a month, you're never alone. Just call their 24/7 hotline and a local pro is on the way. Trusted by millions, HomeServe delivers peace of mind when you need it most. For plans starting at just $4.99 a month, go to HomeServe.com. That's HomeServe.com. Not available everywhere. Most plans range between $4.99 to $11.99 a month your first year. Terms apply on covered repairs.
This day in history. On April 19, 1775, the battles of Lexington and Concord marked the start of the American Civil War as colonial militias clashed with British forces. On April 19, 1995, a bombing at the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City killed 168 people in one of the deadliest acts of domestic terrorism in U.S. history. Story of the day. The Democratic Republic of Congo in 1998 was a country at war. The Second Congo War, one of the deadliest conflicts in modern African history, eventually drawing in 9 nations and killing millions, had begun just months earlier. The Kasai province in the country's south-central interior was a remote and largely rural region, physically and administratively isolated from the capital of Kinshasa. Reliable documentation of events in such regions was difficult under the best of circumstances. Under the conditions of an active civil war, it was nearly impossible. Much of what we know about the Bena Tshadi strike comes from a single report in the Kinshasa daily newspaper, L'Avenir, published in the days that followed. That report was stark and brief. It stated that lightning had killed 11 young men between the ages of 20 and 35 during a football match, that 30 additional spectators and players had been burned, and here is the detail that made this story travel, the players from Basanga had emerged entirely unscathed. The Democratic Republic of Congo has a particular relationship with lightning that is worth understanding here. It is, by scientific measurement, one of the lightning capitals of the world. The region around Kasai receives some of the highest concentrations of lightning strikes on Earth, a consequence of its equatorial position, its terrain, and the atmospheric conditions that generate thunderstorms with extraordinary frequency. Lightning strikes in this part of Africa are not rare. They actually kill people regularly. What made the Bena Tshadi incident different was not simply that lightning struck a football pitch. It was that it killed every member of just one team and left every member of the other team alive. That asymmetry, one team dead and one team untouched, is what turned a tragedy into a mystery. Several scientific explanations have been offered in the years since. One focuses on footwear. The theory suggests that Bena Tshadi's players were wearing boots with metal studs, which conduct electricity, while the Basanga's players wore boots with rubber or plastic studs, which provide insulation. Lightning striking a wet pitch can travel through the ground in a phenomenon called ground current, spreading outward from the strike point in ways that can affect some people dramatically while leaving others nearby unharmed. It all depends on their position, their contact with the ground, and the conductivity of what they are wearing. This explanation is physically plausible, however, it is not confirmed. The documentation of the incident is not too great, and the conditions of the match too poorly recorded, to say with certainty what either team was wearing or exactly where each player was standing when the bolt struck. The second theory focuses simply on positioning. If the Bena Tshadi players happened to be clustered together in one area of the pitch at the moment of the strike, while the Basangas players were dispersed at the other end, the differential survival rate becomes at least somewhat less mysterious. Again, this is plausible, but again, unconfirmed. The honest answer is that we do not actually know precisely why every Bena Tshadi player died and every Basanga player survived. The physics of lightning ground current can produce highly localized effects, but whether that fully explains what happened remains an open question. In the absence of a clear scientific explanation, another explanation filled the space immediately, and that is witchcraft. The accusation arose within hours of the incident and spread rapidly through the region. This requires some context rather than dismissal. The use of witch doctors, known locally as fetishers, in Congolese and broader Central African football was, and to some extent remains, a documented and openly discussed practice. Teams genuinely employed spiritual practitioners to bless their players, curse their opponents, and otherwise seek supernatural advantage on the pitch. This was not fringe behavior. It was woven into the culture of the sport in ways that Western observers sometimes struggled to take seriously, and local participants took very seriously indeed. The idea that Basanga had employed a curse powerful enough to direct a lightning bolt specifically at their opponents was, within that cultural framework, not an absurd leap. It was the obvious explanation. The accusation was leveled, it was never proven, however, and it was also never disproven. What the Bena Tshadi story leaves us with is a layered set of questions that don't resolve cleanly. Why did the lightning kill one team and not the other? Which has plausible partial answers but no confirmed resolution. There's also the human question. 11 young men between 20 and 35 years old playing football on an ordinary afternoon in a village in the middle of a war zone, dead in an instant. Their names were never widely published. Their families were never widely quoted. The civil war that surrounded them consumed far more lives in the months that followed. In the noise of one of Africa's most devastating conflicts, 11 footballers struck dead by lightning barely registered beyond a single newspaper report. I think they deserved better than that. The History Brief. Today on some history news, we're headed back more than 2,000 years to the ancient city of Hippos, near the Sea of Galilee, where archaeologists have uncovered a weapon that doesn't just injure, it insults. During recent excavations, researchers discovered a small lead sling bullet, just over an inch long, once hurled at high speed using a simple but deadly ancient weapon known as a sling. But this projectile had something unusual etched into its surface, a single Greek word that translates to the word learn, or more accurately, to learn your lesson. At first glance, it might seem almost humorous, but the tiny object reveals something fascinating about ancient warfare. Sling bullets like this were not random stones. They were carefully shaped pieces of lead, designed for speed and impact, capable of traveling hundreds of meters and striking with surprising force. And sometimes, well, they carried messages. Archaeologists have found other ancient sling bullets inscribed with phrases like take this or catch, short, sharp taunts aimed at the enemy. But this particular example is unique. It is the first time this specific phrase, learn, has ever been found on a sling bullet, making it a rare glimpse into the psychology of ancient soldiers. So, why write something like that on a weapon? Well, according to researchers, the message likely served as a form of psychological warfare. Imagine being an attacking soldier advancing toward the city walls only to be struck by a projectile that doesn't just wound you, it mocks you. It's ancient trash talk, literally weaponized. The bullet was likely fired by defenders of Hippos during one of several conflicts in the region during the Hellenistic period, possibly against invading forces approaching the city's gates. And interestingly, while archaeologists have uncovered dozens of sling bullets at this site over the years, this is the only one with this inscription, suggesting it may have been intentionally crafted for a specific moment, or maybe even a specific enemy. In other words, this wasn't just ammunition, it was a message. It reminds us that ancient warfare wasn't just about weapons and tactics, it was also about morale, intimidation, and even humor. Because even 2,000 years ago, in the heat of battle, soldiers weren't just fighting with force, they were fighting with words. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today and helping make this little show such a mighty success. If you are enjoying this show and would like to help with its production, you can always donate a few dollars at buymeacoffee.com or become a Patreon member to enjoy these episodes ad free. Both links can be found on our website at www.historyshortspodcast.com. Have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you all again tomorrow.